What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So, have y'all heard about this new film that Keke Palmer is help producing? It's called Southern Fried Rice. And basically, the premise is an Asian girl and her experience at an HBCU. And she's gotten a lot of backlash from this movie. And she has decided to address it directly. And actually, her caption reads, right? I pulled it from Twitter, and it says, as a professional tap dancer and court jester for most of my life, smiley face, not complaining. I can tell you that it's imperative people of color have jobs outside of just being the talent or the player on the team. It's my mission with Key TV to help fund and support the creators. And there's nothing wrong with her helping to fund or support, creatives, especially those that are just coming up. But Kiki, a lot of people are disappointed, myself included, because we expected more from you. Just recently, it was the Asian American community that went after affirmative action and got that dismantled, sued the Supreme Court. Um, a lot of, unfortunately, not all, of course, but a lot of Asian countries and Asian Americans, given the previous example I just gave, are just largely anti Black. And our HBCUs are one of the few spaces, the very few spaces that we have as a Black collective that, centers and focuses and helps improve and promote Black excellence, especially during this time in our country. It's one of those things that a lot of people really respect and almost revere. And for you to make this film and center it on this Asian girl's experience, it's like it comes across really tone deaf, and a lot of people are hurt behind it, especially because we've watched you throughout your career since you were a kid, whether it was in Tyler Perry movies, whether it was on a Disney Channel, whether it was, a Killer and the Bee. We've always been there to support you. And a lot of people, right, would have expected that same, reciprocity, that you would want to uplift your community. Anyway, let me let you guys hear what Kiki says directly, and then I'll give some additional commentary after she speaks. Oops, hold on. Okay.
Hey, you guys, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I wanted to chop it up real quick about this series called Southern Fried Rice that's premiering on Key TV. That is receiving some controversial feedback. Now, Southern Fried Rice was created by Nakia Stevens, and while I can't speak to her inspiration for the show, I can speak to her dedication as a creative. I mean, Nakia has written, show ran, and produced 4 shows alongside her Damn Right Originals team with Key TV. And Key TV has proudly invested over $500,000 on her creations. And I say that because it's not easy to obtain that kind of investment. In Key TV, this is the ethos of the company. It's a network not just because it has stars and shows or has talent, but because it's about the people who create the shows and connecting them. I mean, we have Alex King, a Black queer creator that made the short film Keep Me in Mind. We have Antoine Lachey, who created the horror story Blue Forest. We have Cousin M, by a father and son duo, Rosero and Eric McCoy. Chelsea Sanders, who created Make It Make Sense and Unlabeled by Lawrence Murray. Chelsea also did Dear Kiki. Look, what you like is subjective, but the support of Black creatives is not. And it's a task that Key TV takes on with pride, because if you want to be a creative, you have to be able to create. And that takes money. And it's Key TV's mission to find the funds for you to be in practice, for you to experience trial and error, and to take your projects off the page and get more than one chance to do it in action. So whether you like it all or some or none, I say give these creatives a chance to grow as we continue to grow in supporting them. So God bless you guys. And like I said, Nakia has Southern Fried Rice that's coming out most recently, but she has Nepotista, Ho and Tails, and Psychology of Fuckboys. That's also some great stuff for you to check out. Take care. Thanks for listening. Holla at your girl.
Okay, so a few things, right? Nobody is saying that it's not good to support up and coming creatives. Nobody's saying that. What a lot of people online are saying is that you're centering an Asian woman at an HBCU. Like let's talk about, the fact that one, I feel like Kiki's trying to distance herself from this whole debacle by naming all these creatives. And you're not going to get it right all the time. But for people to tell you, how they're feeling and how hurt they are and how bothered they are, that you're using your production company, because it is Key TV, right? You're talking about, Nakia Davis and, how she wrote it and created it. Well, it had to pass by you in order for you to promote it. Because you could have easily said, you know what? Since we are, a company that focuses on, Black creatives, Black stories, highlighting Black excellence, our stories are too far and few between. And we need to, have something that focuses on Black excellence, Black joy, et cetera, et cetera. The movie that Kiki made with SZA, with Issa Rae producing it, was all about them running around, trying to get the rent money. And it's like, okay, we understand that times is hard. And it was a funny movie with Joshua Neal. He's an up and coming creative as well. He's a content creator. And people supported that. But it's like, where's our stories about, you know, excellence? And like a Kill It in the Beat, for instance. You know what I mean? Like, or, True Jackson VP, right? Like, because you play those roles, those are the things that people want to see from you. We want to see young Black women excelling, not you taking your production company and your money that you've raised and center, you know, historically, communities that have a history of being anti-Black attending our HBCUs. That doesn't make sense. It comes across as very tone deaf. And, a lot of people are just like, okay, the things that we've, seen from your podcast, right? Baby, this is Keke Palmer. You were going to interview Jonathan Majors, and you got a lot of backlash from that. So you cut it. And it's just like, Kiki, we want you to have a little bit more discernment. We want you to use your platform in a way that encourages and uplifts Black women, because there are so many. I mean, the internet is just rampant with anti-Black, platforms, and every single other demographic is just running with anti-Blackness. You know what I mean? Like, Black women are always the punchline. And for you to, like I said, put on, or you pulled the interview with Jonathan Major, so that's good. But for you to be centering this Asian girl at an HBCU, it's just like, we a lot of people just expected more. We expected better from you, especially since you're a seasoned vet in this game, in the entertainment industry. And it's also, I don't want to say it's hurtful, but it bothers me a bit that she says, as a professional tap dancer and court jester for most of my life. Because I really feel like, what, that sentence in and of itself, and she put a smiley face, behind it, but I feel like she sees herself as a lot less than other people see her. Because if if she held herself to a higher standard, she wouldn't have had a baby with Darius Jackson, who was physically putting his hands on her. She wouldn't have, she would make better art than the things that she's been putting out recently, including Southern Fried Rice. She wouldn't have even thought about trying to interview Jonathan Majors. And so there's just this pattern of and maybe it is, internalized anti-blackness, internalized misogyny, internalized, you know, um, problematic isms that, again, are just inundated day in and day out, whether it's through our media, through the social proof of the people that we interact day by day. It's not easy at all navigating this world as a Black woman. And Malcolm X said it best, the most unprotected person in America is the Black woman, the most disrespected, the most neglected. That's our demographic. And it's sad that things have not changed and progressed since the days of Malcolm X. Speaking of, where's Angela Bassett? Calling Angela Bassett, Angela Bassett. I'm only and by saying Malcolm X because she played his wife in the movie, the Spike Lee film. But she is, Keke and her are close. She said that she asked for her to play her mother, A Killing the Beat, and other roles. And she does her imitation of her when Angela was on the playing Katherine Jackson. I don't want you, I don't want you, I don't want you no more. And it's just like, um, and it was a really good impression too, by the way. So Kiki's extremely talented. But I want us to get away from, the Black trauma porn. I want us to get away from the struggle stories. And I want us to get away from the anti-Blackness. You know what I mean? Like, I want us to ask Black creatives to tell stories to uplift our communities, because there are too many other demographics who get paid off of being anti-Black. And I feel like, Kiki, if you're choosing to make art and movies and films, we want to support you, but we don't want to support you in any type of anti-Blackness, whether that's inviting, like I said, inviting an abuser allegedly on your platform with Jonathan Majors. We don't want to see struggle movies. We don't want to see, certain demographics and communities that have a long history of being anti-Black, and you standing behind and producing those films in our HBCUs and our specific, colleges and universities and our places of excellence. Because those are the things that we fought for. And those are the things that are currently being attacked by this administration. I mean, it's like, we constantly have a danger, like a target on our back, and it's dangerous being Black in 2025. And so for um, one of our actresses that are so beloved by the community to turn around and to support and produce um, this type of movie, it really did rub people the wrong way. And unfortunately, we see a pattern. So I really want Kiki to sit either with, like I said, Angela Bassett, or some kind of other Black actress, Viola Davis, whoever it is, that is, really rooted in who they are, and, really open and candid about having to unpack and unlearn, right? A lot of internalized hateful rhetoric and messages. Like Toni Morrison is my favorite author, hands down. My mom called me, when she passed, and it was just like devastating. And one of the reasons why I love Toni Morrison so much is she was so adamant about making her art specifically for our communities. But she wrote specifically for the Black gays, and she never wavered. No matter how many, Australian journalists came, at her, no matter how many people questioned her, no matter how many, whatever, you know what I mean? Eddie Murphy is another one, even though he's problematic and anti-Black, but his art, like when he made Boomerang, back then I was little, but he caught a lot of flack for that because he didn't have any white people. He didn't center the white savior or any other people of color, right? Coming to America is another story about, Zamunda, and they were kings and queens, and you know what I mean? He was a prince, a rich one, right? People got really upset, so much so that he had to put um the comedian Louis Anderson in his work, that was an employee at McDonald's. His name on the show was on the movie was Maurice. But people were really upset that Eddie had the nerve and the audacity to make films that highlighted black excellence. He didn't care. Neither did Tony. And we want that from you. We want, and maybe you're not there yet. You know what I mean? It's possible, but it takes a certain level of fearlessness. It takes a certain level of being comfortable in your own skin to, you know what I mean? And you may have to not, crowd fund the money that you need, or you might have to turn down, money from studios or people who are trying to promote anti-black rhetoric, because it's very lucrative and it's very powerful, and it's very salient all throughout our culture, so much so that people don't even realize and recognize just how many messages that the media sends out, whether it's, overtly, covertly, directly, indirectly, all those things. When you center a black student at an HBCU, that speaks volumes. A Different World was amazing. They almost, cut it and shut it down until Debbie Allen came, and she brought the authenticity to A Different World, right? Like, she said, put hot sauce on the tables at the student union, bring in Aretha Franklin to sing, the theme song, because the first season of A Different World, I mean, yeah, it was a banjo, and shout out to, black folks who we invented the banjo as well. Country music is ours, but it had a very folksy, feel to it, and a lot of people didn't really vibe with it. And Marissa Tomei, she's an amazing actress. She was on the first season with Lisa Bonet, but it's like once Lisa and Marissa both left, they weren't really missed. The show didn't center, right? It didn't center Marissa Tomei being the white girl at an HBCU. It really centered Lisa Bonet. Like I said, even when Lisa left, when she was pregnant with Zoe, um, then they switched focus to the other black students, and that's exactly what the show was about: black excellence. So for you to make this mistake in the year of our Lord 2025, especially growing up in this industry, it's like, it's heartbreaking, it's devastating to people, because we're like, oh my gosh, what happened to, Akila? And of course that's not who you are. You're Lauren, you know what I mean? You're Keke Palmer, but I mean, you've been in this industry for so long that people, look at Keke in a certain framework through a certain lens of black excellence. And for you to take that, your platform, your studio, your star power, and center, other communities who, like I said, have had a long history of anti-blackness, whether it's, through their own businesses, whether it's in encounters on the street, whether it's, like I said, they, them suing for, the removal of affirmative action, something that has helped us for decades. Even now we have Clarence Thompson, who, like, he, in his own words, was a beneficiary of affirmative action. He pulled up the ladder behind him. A lot of people are feeling like that's kind of what you're doing. Like, you are focusing all your, the money and the star power and the platform, and you're centering an Asian American girl. Like, why? When your community that has backed you for so long, why wouldn't you put all those resources into people who look like you, people who have supported you in your career for so long? That's where the betrayal comes in at. And that's where people are trying to convey to, Keke, saying, listen, you can tell the stories that you want to tell, but don't expect us to support you in doing so, because, we're not going to do that. We're not going to allow you to desecrate our HBCUs. Candace Owens, found out as well. It's like, if you're coming there with anti-black talking points, why do people keep targeting HBCUs? Because it's like, it's one of the few institutions that we have throughout this country that focuses on, black excellence, black joy. And people hate that. And it's like, okay, we understand that the dominant culture will do that, but when our own does it, it makes it that much more painful. And a lot of people, myself included, expected better from you, Lauren. So we hope that you can find possibly a mentor in the industry, but really rethink the projects going forward. We hope that this is a learning lesson. You know, I haven't said anything negative, online about Keke. I know that she has received a lot of backlash, but she also, when she received backlash about Jonathan Majors, she pulled the interview and she kept, moving forward. So this is a learning lesson. Hopefully, she will grow from this. But you guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I want to hear from you. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk with you in the next one. Take care, Aces. Bye.